Welcome to the second lesson on JewelryCAM. In this lesson we will talk about another automated mode in JewelryCAM called engagement ring. And this piece of functionality is aimed at producing rings that are not entirely radially symmetric, but rather have one side that holds stones, one or many, and another that's just a straightforward shank. So something along these lines, what you see here. It could be, of course, more complex than this, with further prongs and perhaps stones on the side, but it gives you an idea of what is meant by an engagement ring. So here the ring is marked in green, and the support that we will be adding to it is marked in yellow. So this is how the original model looked, and this is the support that we've added. Support is the part that will be left as well as a part of the cutting. That's what's going to hold our finished ring to the wax stock. So if you watched the previous lesson, you'll remember that we were able to cut a band ring by eventually just cutting off both sides. Here we're not really able to do that, so we need to leave some area which will be holding this ring. And ultimately we could even use this section as a sprue when casting. So to begin, we load our model, we make sure our support is ready. And this is important if we are planning to have more than one support. For example, if we want to sprue to the sides or to the inside, we have to make sure that they're included in the initial scene. We cannot add them afterwards. So everything that you plan to mill should be assembled in the scene right before you begin. Then we switch to the engagement ring mode. Click select geometry. Select our ring geometry first. Press enter. Select our support. Press enter. And here we have to wait a little bit while the program calculates our necessary stock. As before, we see a little preview of our wax stock as well as the holder. And once again, very important that we define the stock to be of the exact thickness or very close to the exact thickness of the actual wax block that we're using. So let's say if our width is actually 30 millimeters, we have to make sure we define it as such, and we click apply. This will begin the setup of all of our operations. They will not be calculated right away as before. You'll see that there's a whole bunch of them, and we can either calculate them one by one, or we can use our shortcut calculate all, alternatively pressing Ctrl F5. This is going to take some time, so for the time being I'm going to pause this video and come back when it's finished. And here we see our finished calculations overlapping the model. So let's see what JewelryCAM calculated for us. We begin with a rough outside from front and the back, which cuts out our general shape of the ring from the wax block. And if we specified our wax block stock thickness correctly, this should trim it right down and discarding the outsides. And then we begin these rough operations, sorry, not the rough operations, the final operations on the model itself, starting with the part furthest away from the holder and slowly moving our ways towards the holder itself. This way we maintain the most control of our model. So as you can see, these cuts slowly move from our prongs all the way down to our base here back. We have a few rough cuts for the inside of the ring, and you can see that the program is smart enough not to do these early on because we actually need this for support. This helps us to maintain the ring integrity as we're cutting these pieces. Now that they've been cut, they're moved out, pushed out, and we proceed with cutting off the rest of the stuff. Finally finishing with the area touching the support. Let's see how it looks in our machine simulator. Here's our machine simulator showing our wax stock and all of our operations. Let's once again make the stock transparent and the workpiece visible. So there we can see our ring model encapsulated by the stock, and let's see the simulation. Speed it up a little bit. So there's our initial cut from the outside, discarding the extra wax, and we begin work on the actual model, cutting away material from the top and moving slowly towards the bottom of the ring, but before reaching the bottom, doing the inside operation. So here you can see the inside of the ring being cut out, as well as the undercuts being processed, and finally the last parts. While we're in the simulator window, we can have a look at the operation statistics and determine how long the entire process might take. So if we look a little bit down low, here the total machining time, it's estimating it to be around 2 hours and 55 minutes. As you're probably familiar, the speed of milling as well as speed of calculation very much depends on the resolution of your cutting. So in this case we're using 0.02, so 2 microns resolution, very fine. And even though it's going to take you fairly long time, the result is going to be a very smooth wax surface that will cast really nice and clean, and will require minimal finishing once it's been cast. And there you have it, a fairly complex ring being cut out entirely in an automated fashion with only a few clicks of a button. Now, if you want to add further layers, or by layers I mean further operations, for example, if you want to add some sort of special processing in this area, you could do so by adding custom operations. But for the time being, this process, this kind of completely hands-off process, will yield you a working model that is done in a basically fully automated way. Thanks for watching, and in the next video we'll look at the last and the most complex type of milling called custom operations. Thanks for watching.